What up, my Nimians, and welcome back to Nim TV. I am your host, NimishNib2299, and we are back with another movie review. Another movie review. Finally, I went to the theater again and saw Thor Ragnarok. I did whatever that movie's called review. The other MCU movie the other day, which was Doctor Strange. That's it. Doctor Strange movie review. It was kind of like in preparation. It was also because Doctor Strange up to that point was the only MCU movie I had not seen yet. So I did see it the other day, and I liked it a decent amount. It was pretty good. And then I watched this movie, and all I have to say is I expected this to be a good movie. It got good reviews. I expected it to be a very enjoyable movie. I did not expect it to be as good as it was, I think. Everything you thought about Thor movies before. Everything you thought about Thor movies, them being, okay-ish movies. Decent, some entertaining moments, kind of okay. Everything you thought about Thor before is gone in this movie. It takes everything you thought of about Thor movies in the past and just takes it and throws it out the window and comes up with something much, much better. This is the first Thor movie that felt like an adventure, a kind of, not just an adventure, but like felt like what a Thor movie should feel like. Thor, I don't know. Thor spending most of his movie on Earth, hanging out with humans on Earth, is just kind of meh. But this movie's like, okay, well, we're not going to include any of those characters that were on Earth. You don't even have Jane Foster. You don't have Jaden Foster's stupid sidekick, whatever her name is. And you don't have the other guy, the scientist guy who was in the first two. You don't have them. They're absent. In fact, Thor and Jane aren't like a thing anymore, I guess. There's one quick little line in this movie that kind of explains that. So that's pretty good. I'm glad that it just kind of wipes the slate clean and is like, all right, we're going to do something completely different with Thor. We're going to forget about all the stuff that was set up in the last two Thor movies and do something like just completely different. The whole thing with, Loki impersonating Odin was just a thing that was just kind of in the beginning and was quickly resolved like at the beginning of the movie. So it was like, oh, it's just a thing that was like, okay. Which, obviously at the end of Thor the Dark World was set up as this big thing, and then it's just in this movie they're like, screw that. It's just going to be this little tiny thing that's resolved right at the beginning of the movie. I don't know. If anybody actually stayed around to watch the after credits scenes of what's it called? Of Doctor Strange, I was literally just talking about this movie. You would see that there was the one with Thor in it. That after credits scene is actually in this movie. It actually shows what was going on, because like that after credits scene seems kind of random and out of place. Like, why is he talking to Thor? What's going on? Why is Thor and Loki going around New York looking for Odin? What is happening? And this movie explains that, so that's good. And it also, in a way, explains why Thor and Hulk weren't in Civil War, which is something that a lot of the movies kind of don't do, is where they're like, you'll be there in, like, let's say, Captain America 2, Winter Soldier, and it's like, oh, where are the other Avengers? Why aren't they there? Why isn't this character there? Why didn't Hulk show up to help? You have those questions in like a lot of the other movies. This movie's like, it kind of, you may have had that question when you watched Civil War, but this movie's like, here, this is why. Hulk ran off and ended up on that place, I forget what it's called, the gladiator place, and he becomes this great gladiator warrior thing under the Grandmaster. And Thor was trying to stop the evil guy, who is in a way, I don't remember what he's called, but he's like basically the Norse mythology's version of Satan, as far as I'm concerned. He's trying to stop Ragnarok, which is supposed to be like the end times almost. So yeah, it explains where they were and why they weren't in that movie, and it's a very sensible explanation that makes sense. I love there's some throwaway lines that are just so amazing, make some interesting commentary on like the movies and stuff. Because you know how there was that whole thing where everybody was like, ooh, in this shot in this Thor movie you can see the Infinity Gauntlet is at Asgard, but you can also see that Thanos has the Infinity Gauntlet. Is this one fake? Is it not? I don't know. Like, starting this whole big conspiracy theory about it. And there's literally one quick throwaway line in this movie that explains, yep, it's fake. Because Hala, the main villain, comes in to Asgard, takes over Asgard, and she's walking through the place that has all the relics and stuff. And she's like, ugh. She just walks up to the Infinity Gauntlet and just sees it and just, like, knocks it over and is like, fake. And then, like, that one's fake. That one's not even whatever. And she's like talking about the different relics that are there, which includes like, I think Loki's staff might have been. No, actually no, because Loki's staff had the thing from Loki's staff, the Infinity Stone from Loki's staff was in Vision now. So that actually isn't a thing. No, but the Tesseract was there, and maybe other Infinity Stones. I can't remember. I don't know. I've kind of lost track of where all the Infinity Stones are at this point. I mean, I guess the Tesseract is there. The Time Infinity Stone was at the place in Doctor Strange, and then the one that was in Loki's staff is in Vision. Those are the only three that I know. But I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I mean, you'll see them in Infinity War, I'm sure. But yeah, so that's good. I don't know what there is to say about this movie. This movie's really fun. It's a funny movie. I think all the jokes land. All the action is really good, especially like that first. I love the first action scene because it's probably the best Thor fighting scene where he's like in, I guess, what is probably the equivalent to hell in Norse mythology. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And then like one guy's like the Satan of Norse mythology, and he's like fighting all these demons. And there's some pretty cool hammer action there. Like his hammers are just flying around, smashing a bunch of them, and it's pretty cool. You don't get much cool hammer action in the other ones. I mean, you do, but not to the extent in this movie. I think it's better in this movie. Obviously, you know from the trailer, the hammer gets destroyed. He ends up in the Gladiator fight against Hulk and all that. So that's in there. I don't know. I'm going to try not to give away too many spoilers. I would say just go see this movie as soon as you can. If you haven't yet, it's great. Love it. At this point, I am tempted to say that it is my favorite of all the MCU movies up to this point. Up to this point, my favorite has still been Winter Soldier. But now I'm kind of leaning towards this being my favorite MCU movie. It just hit everything so perfectly. Like, there's nothing I can think of that's like, oh, that this movie did wrong. I think everything was done as well as it was supposed to. Everything was done the way it was supposed to be. That's all I can really say about it. I don't know what else to say about it. It's just really, really good, fun movie. Again, like I said, comedy's good, action's good. I like the story in this movie. The plot is pretty solid, I think. The villain, again, what is it with the Thor movies having the best villains? Although that's weird though, because Thor movies, when it comes to the 3 Thor movies, it's like the first and third had the 2 best villains, but the second has the worst villain, which was that weird elf thing. I forgot his name, like from Dark World. I don't know, but like it's weird because like the best MCU villains are Thor's siblings. You have Loki, obviously, is very well known at this point, and in this movie you have Hala, who's his older sister that they never knew about, who's the goddess of death. She's the villain. She takes over. She's the one who destroys the hammer in the trailer, you know, the one who's holding his hammer and destroys it and whatever in the trailer. And she's in, she takes over Asgard and everything. I'm not going to explain it too much. You have to go see it. All I'm going to say is really good. Hulk was in the movie again. He was good in the movie. I think he didn't feel like he was just forced into the movie. He felt like it was good to have him in the movie. And again, it does explain why Hulk wasn't in Civil War, and Thor, obviously. And Doctor Strange was in one scene in the movie. He wasn't really a big part. Again, like I said, it was the same scene that was the end credit scene of Doctor Strange. So Doctor Strange was in this for a little bit, not long. But that doesn't really matter. It's fine. A lot of the old Thor characters do show up in this. Heimdall is a pretty big part of it. Although the Warrior are they called the Warriors 3 or whatever they're called? They're not really in it much. Like, they're shown in one scene. The one gets like killed by Hala, and the other two I think were killed. I don't even know. They're just kind of like in one little scene where they're like, I'm pretty sure they were all killed. I honestly can't even remember, so they're not even important at all. But yeah, Odin's in it. I'm not gonna. There's an interesting thing with Odin. I'm not gonna explain what that is. He's only in the movie in closer to the beginning. I'm not gonna explain why he's only in it closer to the beginning. You have to see it. Odin was keeping some secrets. I mean, I will say that. Not gonna say much more than that. I don't know what else to say. Oh, also another thing. I mean, if people were complaining about... I don't know if this is something people were complaining about, but if they were complaining that there was a lack of female villains in the MCU, well, that's not a thing anymore because Hala was the main villain in this. I don't think there was any other... I think so far Hala is the only female villain in the MCU, I believe. There may have been more, I just can't think of them. I mean, there may have been, like, side villains, but there was none that were like, oh, the main villain. As far as I can tell, there weren't any, really. So, Hala is the first female villain, and she's a good villain, so what more can you ask for than that? But anyways, great movie. Go see it if you like the MCU, if you like Thor. Even if you don't like Thor, like... Thor's different in this movie than he is in the other ones. I mean, he's still the same character, but he's just different. Like, it's not like, oh, they completely changed his character, but it's like they just showed him in a different way, kind of. I don't know, you kind of have to see it, but yeah, go see it. That's all I have to say is go see the movie. Have fun watching it. It will be a lot of fun. That's about all I really have to say. I know my recording doesn't seem as normal because I don't have the little thing of me in the corner, but it should be less laggy than usual because I fixed a few things. Also, you can follow me on Twitter if you want. My Twitter is in the description. Support me on Patreon if you want. My Patreon is also in the description. You can do that if you want to. You don't have to if you want to. So, I don't know if there's anything else for me to mention other than, well, I don't know. Nothing else really. So, that's about all for this. Watch the movie. Let me know what you think of it. I loved it. Have fun watching it. Goodbye.